Laing to give us some updates on what happened in Coloma last summer when he was up here camping, and fill in some other basic stuff. And before we get started with that, I'd like to remind everybody that this channel is completely demonetized. I do not have any sponsors. I'm not running commercials. The only thing that keeps the show coming to you is you guys helping out and keeping it coming. So I really appreciate it when you do that. And if you can spare anything, please send it to paypal.me/World Bigfoot Central. Also, there's been, as usual, a lot of controversy in the Bigfoot community, and you've always got people fighting with each other. And as you all know, I try and avoid that and not say anything about other people's channels. My theory is that if you don't like them, just ignore them, and they'll go away eventually. And that works for the most part. But people ask me all the time, you know, who should I watch? Who shouldn't I watch? Who should I listen to? Who shouldn't I? And I saw another content creator that was giving people tips on this. And I figured I'd do the same thing, and I'd give you guys some tips. So, you know, there are ways to tell. And one thing for sure is something that I just referenced, and that's that if whoever it is that you're following is telling you to not watch other channels and stuff, you'll notice that I've never done that. And that's because I just want to draw attention to bad channels. But, you know, if anybody tells you not to watch some specific channel or, you know, any other, whatever, don't watch these other guys, 99% of the time it's because they have a damn thing to show or they don't have anything to talk about and they don't want you to go look at the other guys because you'll find out they got nothing. And so, and with that, let's bring on our guest, Kevin Laing. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Great to have you back, brother. I haven't seen you since you're up here last summer, and you were in mighty up condition when you got here after your 2,200-mile drive.
Yes, it was an adventure just getting to Montana. I had to drive halfway across the country. What was it, 29-hour trip straight? Didn't stop for nothing but gas for 29 hours.
And, of course, you were riding up with Kakalaki and Texas Cat Jackson.
And Texas Cat, yeah.
So Team Deep South, you guys, you came from the furthest south,
9 hours straight.
I think. Yeah, it was a long drive. And Caveman flew up here on Cave Force 1, so you didn't have to deal with that. So you guys were pretty tired by the time you got here. And then with 1 day of rest, we were ready to head on up to Coloma. Do you want to talk about, go briefly over the stuff that happened on the second day and then talk about the first day, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, we can do that. And the stuff that happened when we went up to the other place first.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what we left off with. And the last time we talked about this, we had Caveman on, and he was showing all his pictures and talking about the stuff that happened up there. And, you know, this is the same time that TV show Expedition Bigfoot was out in the field. And we were out in the field, and we went up to, for our second day, we broke camp. We drove like 80 miles, went up into the Sapphire Mountains to this other area, and started setting up camp about, 2:30 in the afternoon?
Yeah, it was fairly early.
And then you were low on meds, so I ran into town to Shane to get meds for you. So some stuff happened while I was gone, so take it away.
When we first got up there, up in the pass area, as soon as we were starting to set up tent, up from the ravine that was across the river from us, man, we started getting all sorts of hoops and vocals for like 5 minutes worth of them. And, you know, we hadn't even got the tent set up. We hadn't even been there 20 minutes and started getting all sorts of vocals. And, of course, I was in the tent doing my medication, which takes me a few minutes. And I come out, and it's like, who's making that noise? And see everybody standing around where the fire pit was going to be, staring up in the mountains. And it's like, oh, that isn't somebody here. That's coming from up out of the trees, up the ravine. And when it's happening, I didn't even think about grabbing my camera. You know, I still got my shirt up and a syringe pointed at my belly, getting ready to give myself a shot. And it's like, it's not even dark yet. It's not even anywhere near dark, and we're already getting hooped at. Yeah, I know. I said, it ain't even dark yet. And that's when Caveman said, yeah, I know.
Man, I missed all the fun. Well, then after that, Caveman, I told him to go take a look at that log jam over there in the river. And he immediately spotted what I did, that there was something really weird looking about it. And either somebody on the site had been messing around with it or somebody else. And apparently from what I hear, he was the first one who went over to look at it. But you were there, so tell me what happened.
Well, when Caveman went over to look at it, that's when he came back. You know, I don't want to say too much about it because that's one of the things that it was suggested I not talk about. But it's just, I don't want to stir up too much again. But caveman came over and grabbed me, and we went back over and looked, and it, was I was asking, that's not, natural. That's been placed there, asking his opinion, and he says he thought so too. But he said, look at this, and that's when we found what we found.
Big chunk of hair.
Yep. And even got that on video, how the samples were taken in pristine fashion, the way a sample is supposed to be taken, never touched by our hands, and had it on video, how they were collected.
Well, we were supposed to have it on video, but the person that was taking the video failed, so we don't have it on video. We got pictures.
Yes, that figures. There's a lot that I found out about that weekend that didn't get captured, that was supposed to be captured on film.
Yeah, including when we were walking around by the megaliths there in Coloma, showing the clear evidence of tool marks having shaped them before they were placed into the ground.
Yeah, well, it's just, there was so much activity right there at camp. It is the second place that it was just unbelievable. The stuff that would happen during the day, the stuff that you'd hear during the day, and the movement that if you're watching for, you could spot if you know what to look for. Anybody else, your average Joe that, the people that say, I've been out in the forest my entire life and I've never seen a Bigfoot, or I've never seen any signs of them. Well, did you know what you were looking for? I know what I'm looking for, and I know what signs to watch for. And if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to see anything because you're not thinking about it.
Even if you are looking for them, you're not necessarily going to see them all the time. As I was just giving you a hard time earlier today about, all I have to do is go look at one of your live stream field videos and stare close enough, and I can generally find one in there somewhere.
I think they like photobombing me every time I go out and record, because you can always, and it's not me that's saying it. It's everybody that watches my videos says every video that I do, there's something in it. And they're the ones that send me timestamps and say, did you see this? And I said, well, I didn't see it when I was filming, but I heard it, or I felt it, or I smelt it.
Yep. Well, we were talking about that in episode 99, part 1, where when you got up here and Caveman was here, you wanted to show him a video where you caught a Bigfoot ducking down. And he found another one 20 seconds earlier on the video that nobody had spotted.
That nobody had found yet. And I'd watched that video 50 times trying to figure out if I could see that one that's blatantly obvious, that raises up out of the knee-high grass.
Yeah.
And 20 seconds before that one peeks out around that log that's laying on the ground. Like, what? I couldn't believe I'd never seen it before. Caveman watched that video for 20 seconds and found one that nobody else had seen yet. And it's perfect. I mean, it's a perfect picture of one, too. You can see it stick its head out around the edge of that log and duck it back.
Yeah, I also was giving you a hard time because I had found tree clinging Sasquatch that had his hand over his face. Screen captured that out on one of your videos a few months back. And I was getting ready to post that picture, and I wanted to find the video again to go with it. Like, hey, here's your chance to go play Find the Wookiee. This picture's in this video somewhere. See if you guys can find it. Try and get the audience up to speed on being able to spot these things too. So I couldn't remember what the name of the video is, and I'm looking through ones. I remember he was down by the ravine somewhere, so I'll look for all the videos with the name Ravine in it. So I pull this one up, and I'm looking at it, and it's not the right video. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going like, oh, there's another one right there. So I took a bunch of screen captures of that and posted that video with the pictures instead, because yeah, it's just that hard to find Bigfoot in videos that Kevin's done, apparently.
Yeah, I think that's Axel, and I think he likes getting his picture taken. All the ones I did from around here, I think pretty much all of the pictures of, if he's really close, that's my buddy Axel. He's the one that comes up and scares the crap out of me when I'm sitting on the can, tapping on the bathroom window at night.
Well, like you say, at least you're sitting in the right place when it happens.
Exactly. He keeps me regular, that's for sure.
Speeds up the whole process so you can go outside and sit on the porch and have a cig, and they can sit out in the darkness and peer at you.
That's what gets me. It's like after I come back inside, after I've been sitting out on the porch for an hour or so, just talking to them, they never do anything until I come back in the house, lay down in bed, and right as I'm about to fall asleep, that's when I get rap, rap, rap on the back wall. Like I holler out, I'm just outside. You should have said hi when I was outside.
Oh, we were close enough then. So anyway, getting back to the Skalkaho Pass now. So, yeah, you guys found some hair samples, collected them carefully, and put them in baggie. And then what happened for the rest of the day? Didn't you sight one too?
The one that I saw was the next morning.
Okay.
At breakfast, but
because that night we had Shane and Caveman sitting around the other side of the truck from the campfire, watching a couple of them sneak up on the river, and then one came across and snuck right up on camp. And they sat there for 45 minutes and watched them do it.
Yeah, and that night when we was up there, I wasn't doing real good that night, so I went to bed early. The main thing I heard was, right when we got there and was setting up, I heard the vocals coming from up the ravine that was across the river, and took a whole bunch of pictures of the structure that they'd built across the river. And as soon as I ate something, I had to go lay down. I was up a couple times during the night, but nothing happened when I got up to go do my business. But the next morning, that's when I got up and was eating breakfast, and Kat was sitting next to me, and I said, look up the ravine right there. It was off to the right of where the noises were coming from the night before, but just right up on the face of this mountain, probably about, 100 yards up the mountain, just right in a clump of trees. I said, watch right there. One's there. I asked her, you see that big dead stump right there with the trees laying down across it? I said, watch to the left of it. And so sure enough, every few seconds wanted to stick its head out and watch us while we was down there sitting around the campfire eating breakfast. That went on for 20 minutes. She didn't see it, and then finally when she did, she was just amazed that there was one sitting there watching us like that.
Now, I'm sure they were watching us like hawks the whole damn time we were there, considering.
Yeah, I know they were. I know for a fact they were. They didn't like us being there, actually. I know why now, but at the time I wasn't exactly sure, but I got a pretty good idea why they wanted us gone.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that during the day you got to go run around and find some more interesting stuff.
Oh yeah.
Did you get to go see the boulder stack with the tracks going into it?
No, I didn't see that part. What I did, it was Shane, Texas Cat, and Wayne and I went for a drive even further up the mountain, and as I'm driving along, I turned this one hairpin corner to the right, and it's like, ooh, I got to turn around and go back, because right in the middle of the corner, there was a tree bow on the right-hand side of the road pointing across the road that was, bent over and then tucked down under the roots of another tree, and a tree break. And both of the points of the bow and the break were both pointing across the road. So went up where I could turn back around, came back down and parked, and it's like, I'm going over that way. And none of them saw why I wanted to stop there. And they're like, over there. And I said, look, it right across the road right there. When we passed that, there's something right over on the other side of the road. So we stopped, got out, Kat and Shane, we went for a walk, and we were just talking. And it's like, look at that X structure right there. Look at that bow. Look at that. Every time I'd take 10 steps, I'd stop and show them, look at over there to the left. It looked like Structure City, man. That's the area where I got that big old huge bow that has the picture of Cat and Wayne standing underneath of it.
Yeah.
And the center of the arch of that tree bow is still probably 20 feet above their head. And the end of that, the top of that tree that was bowed over was tucked down underneath a couple of big logs. That happens in nature all the time, right? A big tall tree will bow itself over and stick the top of it under.
My favorite anomaly I caught, though, was and way harder to explain, is the huge X that's upside down.
The 30-foot tall X that root balls are sticking up in the air.
Yeah, both sides
at
have
least 30 feet, probably 30, 40-foot tall X structure, and up on the top is two root balls. Explain that one. That was Boy Scouts back there doing it.
Yep, Boy Scouts ripped them trees out of the ground, shoved the tops in upside down, and made an X.
Yep.
I got about 30 of them up in the top of that one tree, and they'll swinging back and forth until it bowed over. It's like lots of Boy Scouts out there making tree structures, doing pranks like that.
Yeah.
So
they made the bow and the break across the road aiming to it too, so everybody would know to go over there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. I don't know if you can see me. It's just me running it. I'm here in Sasquatches Pass in Montana. I just want to show you where I'm at, way up here, about 8,000 feet. Some interesting stuff that I found. There's a big X. Right, the reason I stopped here is right on the road. Maybe I'll try to get a shot of that. But there was a tree break and a bow, both pointing in this direction. I want to show you there's Kakalaki and cat underneath the tree bow. Right there, that kind of puts it in perspective. But there's just a lot of stuff out here. It's really cool. And not even any squirrels are making any noise for us out here. While they're doing that, I'm doing this. Let me go right back over here. And there's all sorts of bows and stuff over here. Sorry if you can hear that. We're all up here just camping, and I got some interesting stuff to show you later on in another video. Something Caveman and I found last night. Pretty interesting and sad at the same time, but like I said, I'll do another video that explains that. Actually, Caveman found it. Beautiful up here, though. I haven't been up here in years, and I miss it. Let's see if you can see these down here. There's about 4 tree bows altogether. I'm not sure if you can see them down there, but sorry guys, I'm not doing real good. This camping trip this week has just about killed me. But I wanted to show you some of where I'm at right now in Montana. There's all sorts of breaks like that. You can get a different angle of it. That big old huge bow, and it is pushed down underneath the trees over there on the right hand side. See if you can see them down there. That's Cat, Wayne, and Shane. Well, like I said, this ain't gonna be too long. I'm not doing too hot, but let me hit pause and see if I can take off again when I get to the road and show you why I stopped and came over and looked here. Be back in just a second. All right, guys, this is what made me stop here and go look over there this direction where this bow is pointing, and that break is pointing right over there, and that's where I was at when I was doing the video just a few minutes ago. But love you guys. I'll see you later. I'll post this one when I get back to society and have some signal. See you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.
You know, interestingly, you didn't have to go too much further up the road from there, and that's where me and Michael stopped when we were up there about a month later, saw that weird-looking rock pile, and walked all the way up to the top of that rise and found what looked like carvings in the topmost stone on it that pretty much matched exactly carvings we had found in another stone on top of another big rise about 3 miles away from it across the valley. And this also looked like megaliths and stuff. So that was like right.
Valley. We found this, again, another high ridge we decided to go climb up. This is an interesting rock pile that was just on the way up to it. Just really looked kind of weird, so we figured we'd document it on our way up. And we found some more weird stuff on the way up. We'll get to that in a minute. But there's the side. And this could all be natural. I mean, sure, why not? It's just weird looking. Mike doing a walk around to the camera here. As we get higher up on this ridge, things start looking like, yeah, they look like megaliths. And I'll wait till you see what we find up on top of it. There he is walking around the upside of it, filming the rock. There it is from that side. So we were just going by on the road and saw that and went, well, that's kind of neat. Here I am ambling up the hillside. And that's what this whole mountainside looked like going up with stuff like this. And it kept getting cooler and more intense as we went up. More and more suggestive. To the point where we started seeing stuff that really looked like megaliths, you know. And this is about where that started to happen. I mean, this looks, it looked like a megalithic wall, so I figured I'd stand there for scale so you guys could see what it looked like. Now, Michael went and climbed up on top of it and climbed down to the end of it, and where one of the rocks was starting to fall away from the other rocks, he found something very interesting. There it is. It's a layer about 2 inches thick, concretion. It almost looks like there was mortar in between these two stones. You can see how even it is all the way around where they snapped off from each other. Excuse me, just very odd stuff. So again, very suggestive. You know, I'm not a geologist, I'm not an archaeologist. I'm just, I like to note weird anomalies when we find them. And this is one of the weirder anomalies. Now, you know, when I was up the north end of the valley, I was looking for what looked to me like a megalith that was on the top of another ridge that had holes carved in the top of the rock at the very top of the ridge. One was about the size of a coffee can, one was about the size of like a coffee mug, and there was another one that was more or less the shape of like a mailbox, and they were carved into the top of the rock. Well, we couldn't find it, but we found the giant X structure. So we climb up another 80 feet to the top of this thing, and on the very top rock, here's what we find. That's Mike standing there. There's only enough room to have one human up there. Again, this is like 200 feet up at the very top of this promontory on the very top rock.
All right, looks like we're going to start our ascension. There's a lot of massive boulders. That wind sure just picked up. Don't mind us if we get a little winded. It's quite the incline, as you can see. Yep. I was like, don't mind us if we're a little winded. Then I showed the angle of the incline. We've already gone up about 150 feet.
Where's Duke? I don't know. Hiding in there.
Taking a break.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Should be able to get a good shot from up on top.
There's little holes and stuff on the top of these rocks. I'll show you. I'll take a couple pictures.
Yeah, I remember explaining to you the area that we found that stuff at, and I would talk about when you and Mike went up there. Now, there was one place when we left that area and we're heading back down to the camp that I didn't feel like getting out of the truck, but Shane and Wayne and Kat went up and found that other stone, big old huge rocks that had the other ones stacked on top of them in that same area. So it's not just one or two megalithic structures up there. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I know. And they're not documented, folks. Nobody's actually documented this yet.
That little half-hour-long adventure in and of itself was enough for a lifetime.
So yeah, we mentioned that on previous examples, especially last episode where I was talking to Caveman, because he was right there with me and Shane trying to help you guys pack so you could get out of there. Everybody else had already left some hours before. And, Cat and Kakalaki couldn't figure out how to get the load organized or something. And they didn't want us to help, apparently.
Finally got everything in the bed. And, her avalanche had the 3 sections that go over top of the bed, so nothing will get rained on. And we had that closed up and the tailgate latched. And what it was all the camp chairs. There was no room in the bed, so Wayne was up on top of the truck trying to tie him in, so they wouldn't fly off. Understandable, but the only rope he had was like 6,000 feet long. He's trying to use every square inch of it to tie him on, and it's like, it was cold, and me in the cold anymore. I can't get cold, so I'm in the truck with the engine running and the heater on, and I start hearing noise just up, the driver's window was down so I could hear if they asked anything, and I could try to keep hurrying them up. And just off to my left, towards the left front corner of the truck, I see something. It's just a shadow, but not that far out there, 25, 30 yards. And I hear a grunt. It doesn't sound like, just a regular grunt, off in the trees. And it wasn't far past that there was the river. But I heard a grunt that didn't sound friendly. How do you know it didn't sound friendly? Because I've been huffed at a million times that were just because I got too close. And I've been huffed at when I know they wanted me gone. And it was one of those huffs. So I stick my head out the driver's window of the truck and holler back, "Guys, hurry up. We got to go." And Wayne tells me, "I've got to tie these chairs on." And it's like, okay, well, hurry up and get in the truck so we can leave. And 5 minutes later, I hear a snap, big old huge branch break, and a long growl, and just a low rumbly growl. And it's like I stick my head back out the window and holler back, "Guys, come on, we've got to go." And a few minutes later, I'm hearing all sorts of huffs and growls and twigs breaking, because this thing's getting closer. I can see dark, a shadow off in the shadows moving, and it wasn't windy. It wasn't like trees blowing around. There's something moving in the trees just 20, now about 15 to 20 yards away, getting closer and getting more and more angry. I'm sitting there hollering back. So I get out and the lid's off the bed of the truck. The tailgate's open. Then there's boxes on the ground. What are you doing? We've got to go. And Wayne's still up there trying to tie chairs in with 6 miles of rope. And it's like, just stuff that stuff in the bed. We've got to get out of here. And so I go get back in the truck, and it's 10 to 15 minutes after that.
Oh, good God.
That I was finally able to put it in reverse, get out of that where I was parked, and then that whole thing. And for that last 15 minutes, I swear I could smell that thing's bad breath blowing snot in my pocket. Me trying to get them to hurry, and they're oblivious. They never heard any of the growls, any of the grunts, never heard any of the trees, limbs breaking, nothing. I'm sitting in the driver's seat with my pistol in my lap. I know it's not going to do anything but maybe buy me a couple of seconds. But I was the most concerned I have been in the presence of the forest people, because he was done with us being there. You and Shane and Caveman had left, and we're still there a half hour longer with him doing everything in his power to get us to leave, and the truck's just sitting there.
God.
That is the most concerned I've ever been. My gun was still in my holster, but I actually pulled it up and set it on my lap, because I didn't know how much longer he was going to restrain himself from actually stepping out. And what gets me is because they weren't paying any attention to me or what I was saying, neither one of them heard anything or saw anything. And I saw movement all around us in the front of the truck, because the headlights were on and it was lighting up, in front of the truck. Him being off to the left was out of the lights, but I could definitely see his shadow moving and coming in closer. Every 5 minutes, he'd come in about 5 yards closer. And by the time I backed out and left, I saw him about 10 yards away from the driver's door of the truck, where the truck was parked. It was probably right at the driver's corner of where Shane's truck was parked when you guys left.
Yeah.
He was right there behind that
tree over there. He was probably
right behind that tree.
Yeah.
That was to the driver's side front corner of Shane's truck. What was that? 10 yards away from my truck? Maybe 10 or 12 yards. He was behind that big old huge Douglas fir tree. And they still didn't see him when we backed out of there and the lights went over that direction, because they still weren't paying attention to what was going on outside once they got in. I still can't believe that they didn't see or hear anything for that half hour was there by.
Well, they are incredible.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
That's something Wayne can finally hear now. He did he can hear now. That was difficult when he didn't have a hearing aid.
Yeah.
Because you had to yell at him to get him to hear you, but if you didn't yell at him, he wouldn't hear.
Yeah. Sad but true. Well, at least you managed to get out of there before it lost all patience and tipped the tree over on the truck or something.
Yeah, and then we get stuck on the road for 20 minutes behind a moose. It decided to walk down the road in front of us for 3 miles.
Well, at least you got a good picture of him.
Yeah, I got quite a few good pictures of that moose calf.
Oh, really? I only got one. You should send more of them so we can show people.
I didn't. One. They sent me the same one. They sent me the same one they sent you. I couldn't actually take pictures driving, but I thought they got a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, I only got to see one. That's all I got. So anyway, that was that big expedition. Then we made it. You guys took the wrong turn and had an extra hour drive going around the mountain range.
Yes.
And so you didn't get here until late. Didn't really get a chance to spend any time with the caveman before we had to take him off in the morning and get back on Cave Fork.
I wound up in Anaconda, Montana before we went so far out of the way. We wound up in Anaconda.
Oh, you went the wrong direction once you got to the valley too.
Yep.
It
wasn't me running the GPS. I was just following directions. But yeah, we got all turned around upside and backwards.
Yeah, you went down apparently to the far end of the valley and then turned around and came all the way back to the other end of it to go around the
Yep.
north end of the mountain range where we are.
Yep.
So yeah, that's about an 70-mile valley. So yeah, you went a bit ways out of your way. Just a short hop, skip, and a jump, only 70 miles.
Yeah, everybody else had been in bed for 3 hours when I finally show up.
Yeah, well, except for me, I was.
Yeah, well, you're like me on a normal day, a night owl.
Stay up most of the night. Yeah. So let's now backtrack to the part that we skipped at the beginning of the show, where the first time we showed up at Coloma, we didn't actually stay there because we had to run back in town and pick up Caveman at the airport. So we just jotted up there, dropped off a whole bunch of equipment, stashed it safely inside of one of the ruined haunted houses there, and then took off again. But while we were there, you and me both felt like a presence watching us while we were stashing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when we put all our camp in the old dilapidated log cabin that was up there, I knew as soon as we turned off the main road and started up through the trees, I knew that we was being watched. You could feel it. And when we stopped and got out of the truck, putting the stuff over there, you could feel the eyes looking at the back of your head. Well, that's why I said, well, we ain't got to worry about any humans messing with our stuff here tonight.
Yeah. And you remember me saying, hey, you guys keep an eye on our stuff. Don't let anybody mess with it.
Yep. And there wasn't anything touched. I made sure that there was nothing that had been touched the entire night. When we got back up there the next day, everything was in the exact same position it was in when we left the night before. So
Right on.
nothing messed with it.
Yeah, not
But
even a
when
chipmunk
we came
or a
up-
pack rat.
No, that's what I was worried about, because we did leave a couple of boxes of food. You know, the food was sealed, something that a pack rat could easily have got to, but all of it was left alone. And then when we got back up there the next morning, when we got back up and started setting up tent in Coloma, the first night was there, that's when Wayne and figured out that the only thing that was in their tent bag was a tarp. So they had to run back to town to go get a tent.
Good
And
plan.
then you and, was it Matt or Shane that you went to town with? Because it was just me and Caveman up there for a couple hours.
I didn't leave again. As soon as we got there, we stayed there.
Okay, so it was just that Wayne,
Wayne and Kat took off.
Caveman, and I went up there. Yeah, and Wayne and Kat had to go buy a tent, and it took them 4 hours to go to town and buy a tent. But me and Caveman, as soon as they left, me and Caveman started talking about, who was watching this. And I said, yeah, I know. I felt it. And every once in a while, you could hear a hoop. But they were just interested in what we were doing. Me and Caveman got our tent set up. And then, when Wayne and Kat got back, set up their tent, they had brought us lunch. But I didn't really do a whole lot till later that, and I went out for a hike a couple times. I didn't go all the way up to the standing stones till the next morning, but I went around that way and I cut up the ridge. I didn't realize that they were further around. I cut up straight up the hillside, which would be, when you're at the standing stones looking down, it would be off to the left of those, and walk the edge of the tree line on the far side of the clearing where the standing stones are. That's where I went on a walk by myself because I felt compelled to do it. And that's when I met somebody that I was hoping I was going to get to see. He is there waiting for me.
How far away from him were you when you noticed he was standing there?
Actually, yeah, I got pretty close to him before I realized it. I could feel it, but I finally asked if it was him, and that's when he stepped out from behind where he was hiding behind and let me see him. But it was probably 30 yards away. And instantly I knew it was him, even though it was pitch black. It's the same feeling it got, all those years before. And it's the same feeling that I had the night before when we came up and dropped our stuff off, and then when it was just me and Caveman up there, I felt that same feeling. And, that helped me realize later on that that feeling was him, not just them, but specifically him. And, it's like I expected. It's nothing like, the interaction is nothing like it was when we were kids, when I was a lot younger. He's a lot older. He's got a family to take care of. But just being able to see him and know that he's doing well, doing very well, is a huge weight lifted from my chest and my heart, and good for my soul.
So did you actually talk to him then?
Yes, I did. Talked to him for several minutes and got to see a new one of his, I'm pretty sure it was a grandbaby, one of his children's babies, but I was allowed to see that because he was carrying it. But, everything that I wanted to ask just went right out the window. I was overwhelmed with emotion. And anything that I wanted to ask, everything that I wanted to say was gone. I just happy to see him. Remember, I wasn't expecting it. I always hoped, but we weren't exactly in the area that I was when I was younger. It's all the Rocky Mountains, but, it's not the same area.
No, it's quite a ways away from it, but it's actually within a few days hiking distance for a Bigfoot, so.
Yep. And with what I know about them communicating with each other, that's why I hope that it would be possible. But I thought I would have to go look for him, but he was waiting for me. And that still gets me. How did he know where I was going to be when I did not know where I was going to be? You did, but I didn't know the location.
Well, I didn't tell him.
He was waiting me there.
Don't blame me. I didn't tell him.
Yeah. Well, you know how he knew.
Yeah. Well, you actually should have figured it out too, because, well, go ahead and tell about the psychic people that contacted you.
Well, I've got some friends that I would say have a gift. I don't know if I'd call it a gift because you can't control what you see. You see good and bad. But, I've known before I even went to Montana that he has never went a day without thinking about me because of what several people that have, those type of gifts have told me, people that I've been in contact with that I've known for several years now that talk about, it's helped me understand it a little bit more, but, it's still how they know what they know and how they communicate. And there's some humans that are able to communicate the same way that they do with them. But yeah, I forgot what I was actually trying to say, but
well, we were talking about the psychics basically telling them that you were going to be there at a certain point.
Yeah, and that I wanted to see him and that I was looking for him. He did already know that I was sick. That's something that has concerned him for years, is the fact that I'm sick, because I wasn't like this when I was a kid. I didn't have all the health problems back then that I have now, and that turns him. But for the people that I knew, it wouldn't be anything like, when I was younger and he was younger. He's got a lot of responsibility. He's got a family to take care of, a large family to take care of. But
how many does he have? Did he have them there with him? Did you get to see any of the rest of them?
Yeah, I got to see the female, and I believe it's the same one that I saw all those years ago. She was very skittish. She doesn't like people. And I found out the reason why is because she was shot about 18 years ago.
Oh.
She's still here, thank the Lord. But so she has a ear district. And I'm not exactly sure how many, but it's a very large troop. I know he has 4 sons and 2 daughters.
Did you get to see any of the sons? Obviously, you wouldn't be bringing the daughters out to show you, but
yes, I got to see 2 of them, the oldest 2, and they're the same exact, dang near as big as he is. And I got to tell you, he is a lot bigger than he was 30 years ago. He is a lot bigger. A lot. I mean, a lot bigger.
LOT, like 25 and a half inch long footprint, 14 and a half feet tall, vaguely around 5,000 pounds, like that much bigger.
Yeah, easily 2 tons or more.
God.
And still fast as a bullet.
Yeah, and he's got 2 kids that are almost that size too. I mean, who needs a football team when you got those 3 around?
Yeah, it's more than a foot.
Oh, good Lord. Well, yeah, we knew that they were hanging around there, and we had one of them, if not GLAGG, somebody else from his family whipped a rock at your tent in the morning because 2 of us saw the rock flying over the embankment and hit your tent.
Yep. You know, and it wasn't just me that saw him. He allowed, I think, 4 other people to see him. And I just found out that one was up there didn't have his glasses on, so he saw the big blob that moved, but couldn't actually see him. I wish he would have said something, and I would have had him go get his glasses and come back. But he felt him and saw the big, huge object move, but didn't actually get a good sighting. Because what a time to forget your glasses, huh?
Yeah. Well, he said it was across the canyon from him, so, without his glasses, all he could see was a big shadow from there. He needed to have his glasses.
Yeah. But, Wayne and Ken did get to see him also. And I thought there was one other person, but I might be mistaken. Really cautious because of the amount of his and everybody that was there. He just was really, really cautious around everybody. And that's why there wasn't any of them that were very close to me other than him. The female, she was way off in the distance, and I did see her, but she was way far away from me. And so were the 2 sons that I saw. They were way far away, farther back. That's big. That clearing up there's pretty good. I don't know, from where I was in him, they were about half the distance of that across that clearing over on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And that dumps over back behind where our tents were, that ravine over that draw that went back up there. And you think about it, that night that the guys went walking up the ravine behind where we was all camped, that's where they heard stuff and came back in a real hurry that night.
Travis saw one of them watching those people in the camper over in that side canyon. He was sitting up by the haunted house up there, looking around from behind the haunted house, and he could see this big shadow. We'd stand up and peek for a little bit and then duck down again. Stand up and peek for a little bit and then duck down again. And it was watching those people in the camper. So I don't know. It probably wasn't GLAGG. Yeah. It must have been one of the other ones, but that could have something to do with why they bolted out of there at about 4:30. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It could be.
Bombing up that dry wash pedal to the metal at 4:30. Yeah. They wanted to get you those breakfast pancakes really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew that nothing gonna to worry about anything other than people. There wouldn't be any mountain lions or bears or nothing that'd bother us while they were around.
Well, now you went ahead and told Brent that too, that he wouldn't have to worry about anything doing research there the following night, even though we weren't going to be there. GLAGG and company would be. Yeah. So, you don't worry about anything. If a T-Rex comes wandering through town, don't worry, GLAGG's got it. If a pack of velociraptors come in and invade, don't worry, GLAGG's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be scared of mountain lions or bears or anything with them lurking around there.
Yeah. When we were standing over there and I introduced Brent to him, Brent could tell the way that it felt. Actually, I thought he was going to pass out for a second, but I said, "Do you see that feeling that you're feeling right now?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "That's the feeling that I've got every time I was around him. That lets you know that there's nothing in the world around you that, nothing, no predator or nothing is going to mess with you. And just that feeling lets you know you're safe. And he said he felt that the next night after we were gone, right?
Yeah.
That's what's cool.
Yeah, and they had some, if you want to check out the live streams, folks, if you haven't seen them, the following night they were up in that damn ghost house. God knows what happened in that place, but it's so creepy. I don't even like walking in it. And they're up there with a ghost box going at dark and afterwards. And Brent's out by the door because as he's standing inside filming it and it's getting darker, he starts to lose signal. The darker it gets, the less signal he had in that ghost house, till he finally had to move out the door and videotape from outside on the phone. Standing at the doorway, it was the only place he could get a signal anymore. And they were getting sounds and stuff on this thing that, like, it wasn't even programmed to make. There's really no physical, logical explanation for some of the sounds this thing was making. So if you guys want to see, like, actually scary paranormal ghost research, go watch this one.
Yep.
Yeah, Brent had the heebie-jeebies. He said he was partially reassured by the fact that he had all those people in the palm of his hand on the phone that were watching on the live stream, and also by the fact that he figured that GLAGG and company were still around.
Yeah, they would take care of him while he is there.
Yeah, if I had GLAGG hanging around as my friend, I wouldn't be worried about anything either. Not a damn.
I'm never worried about anything when we were out.
Yeah. No kidding. Gee, I wonder why. So anyway, yeah, it must have been hard for you to not really talk about that very much or anything. So
Yes. But it feels good to let people know that yes, I did see him. But a lot of it is, for his protection. How I feel about that. I don't want people going up trying to look for him. I always want to try to keep him safe.
Yeah, there's plenty of mountain ranges up here for him and his family to wander around in. They're not going to find him anyway.
Yes.
Now, you had actually reports of him prior to this, where there were apparently several sightings of him over in Idaho, and then one where he apparently saved a woman from a forest fire. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, well, I know that one is working with the Forest Service, I believe, and got thrown from her horse and broke her leg and, knocked unconscious and stuff. And he carried her back to town. And it turns out that's not the only person that he had quote unquote saved in the last 30 years. I've got 3 or 4 other reports of people that have been helped by a Sasquatch. They don't want to say that to everybody, but once they heard my story, they put 2 and 2 together, and all of them have been able to identify him how I would identify him in a lineup. If you could get 5 or 6 that all look the same, he's got some specific markings that, would help to tell who's who, just like with any human, but they've all described the same exact thing, which pretty much guarantees it was him over any other one. And sorry, I'm not going to go into it because I don't want everybody to know the identifying marks that he has. That's just to keep him safe. But
he's got a lightning bolt-shaped S on his chest.
Yeah, and he wears gold underwear on the outside.
And a cape.
Yeah, and a cape. Now, there's also the people that have been run off the mountain near my hometown. I don't like talking about it because it's the nasty.
Well, frankly, it's
4-letter
hilarious.
word
I heard a couple of those stories and passed them along to you, I think, before you even caught wind of those ones.
Yep. The people that have been chased out of the mountains by something big, a big and booming voice telling to get lost, basically.
Yeah. Get starts with an F and lost starts with an O.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine having something that big with lungs that powerful yelling that at you. I would want to leave. I would not want to find out who was yelling that.
Yeah, if I was up there and heard that, even knowing where it's coming from, I'd still turn the word book into a verb.
Yep.
Book would be a motion word. Oh.
Can you relate any of the specific stories that you heard where it may have been him that helped people? I know the one where he carried the woman out. You kind of like skipped some details on that one. You want to fill in the rest of it?
Well, just the fact that like the size of him, how big she
Yeah.
is, and how big he is. You know,
'Cause this was fairly recently, right?
yeah, just within 5 years. She's a smaller woman, about 5'1", and he is carrying her in the palm of his left hand. The back of her head is on the heel of his hand, and his fingertips were at the back of her knees. So that gives you an idea of the size.
Yeah, his hand's like the size of a backhoe shovel.
Yeah, basically.
Now, was the situation that she was injured and couldn't get out of there, or no? Maybe I'm confusing it with another report. I thought there was like a fire going on or something.
She was keeping track of the forest fires for the forest.
Okay, it was okay.
Yeah, and she's on horseback and got thrown from her horse and hurt really bad, quite a ways from town.
With forest fires going on. Wonderful.
And they were in the process of running from the forest fire, been chased out of their home by the forest fire, and happened to come upon her injured and carried her to the closest town, which was quite a ways away.
I don't suppose you got a chance to ask GLAGG if that was actually her. Or him, I mean.
I didn't. I did, but I didn't. The specifics were escaping me at the time, but I did ask him if he had helped people, if he'd helped a woman, and he said, I've helped a lot of women. So the specifics of that particular case, I didn't ask because it didn't even cross my mind. It did, but I was just so overwhelmed with everything else. A huge part of my life, a huge question mark in my life had just been answered, and I was relieved, and I knew I didn't have a lot of time with him, and there's a million things that I wanted to ask that I didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure you were probably at least a little bit stunned too, because you were coming up here to go squatching in Montana, not to go look for GLAGG in Idaho.
Yep, exactly. And then to have him waiting for me, and then he was big before. I know what they look like. I know how big they are. It's not going to shock me, but it shocked me exactly how big he is.
Yeah, and I suppose how close did you actually get to him this time?
The closest was about 10 yards.
Well, that's plenty close enough to be able to guess how tall he is and how wide.
Yes. The tree that he was standing by, that was about shoulder length, I couldn't reach, just standing there on my tippy toes. I couldn't even jump up and touch a branch that was about his shoulder height. There's no way I could jump that high.
Yeah, well, I mean, shit, you're lucky if you could jump up and touch 9 feet. And he's got several more feet on top of that, like 5.
Yeah. He's easily over twice as tall as me. They're probably stacked 2 of me on top of each other, and there's another 2.5, 3 feet.
Yeah, that would make him right about 14.5, 15 feet.
Yep.
And like I said, we looked up his body build and his height on the handy-dandy Bigfoot weight estimator chart, and it came out right around 5,000 pounds, so about 2.5 tons, according to the guesstimator chart.
Yep. And I would assume that is pretty close to accurate, because I thought he was big before. He's big. He's big. But I still got the same feeling as before. It's nothing bad from him at all. But man, if looks could kill his woman, I'd have 2 holes burned through me.
Well, if she's been shot by humans, you can see why she doesn't like him very much. I don't know
Yep.
what she's all being all snaky about. She won. He's been hanging around with her for 35 years or however long it's been.
Yep.
Well, now the other thing that comes to mind here is I've heard from other people that have had long-term contact with Bigfoot that their cultural thing from them is that, and this is like everywhere, not just certain clans do this, but they're just not supposed to interact with humans.
Mm-mm.
So in addition to their incredible sneakiness and stuff, they're not supposed to interact with us. And this could explain why you get some of this behavior where they're really curious and they'll come up and be peeking in windows and stuff like that. And then if it looks like you're going to see them or take a picture or something, they freak the hell out and take off. Yeah. Why? Because they're breaking their own rules and they're about to get in trouble.
Yep. Well, it's like the grandma one that I met down in southern Arkansas that, well, I call her grandma, but is a member of GLAGG's bloodline. And she said that everything that him and I did when we were younger was basically against the rules. Well, whose rules? But it wasn't, well, she said it wasn't allowed, but we were kids. So, and now that he's an adult and has a family to take care of, trying to abide by their ways, I just knew that it wouldn't be like it was when I was a kid. But still, the fact of seeing him and knowing he's doing well, doing extremely well, was awesome.
Yeah, doing frighteningly well. Eating entire herds of buffalo. Oh, good Lord, man.
Yeah, and making hunters crap themselves, running them off the mountain.
Yeah, I'd run too. Got something that big mad at you, yelling that at you. Time to leave.
Well, the reason why I taught him to say it's worked all these years.
Well, humans know what it means, and when something giant in the woods is yelling that at you, it probably makes you want to leave.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure Glad got a nice deep voice. You probably sound like a foghorn yelling F you at you.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, well, all I can say is that I'm glad we were somehow able to pull off that miracle and reunite you with GLAGG. I know everybody else has been pulling for it, praying for it.
And I wanted to say something before now, but, you just got to trust me. There's reasons why I couldn't. And you know why. And they know why, but most of your listeners don't know why. And there's some things that have just got to remain that way. I hate to be so vague, but...
Well, I talked to somebody else actually yesterday that was in that same position that had that same problem. And they felt like you should probably actually talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I've thought about it also, and not give away too much detail, but let be known what evidence I have, so they will continue to leave me alone. For those of you that wonder why I just dropped off the face of the earth, I was told to, and I was visited by a group of guys that weren't very nice about it, but they failed to realize that I have all 8 of them on camera from 5 different camera angles that were recording while they were here. And I copied those and sent copies of the memory cards to 5 different places that has pictures of their faces and video of everything that they said to me while I was here. So kind of got that ace in the hole. If anything happens to me,
anything happens to you or your next of kin.
Yes, because that's what they did to get me to be quiet. They can't hurt me. You kill me, you make it to where I'm not in pain anymore. Thank you very much. But threatening my children is something that'll get me to jump through hoops. And that's why I just kind of dropped off.
Just to let the audience know, Kevin is not the only person that I know that's had this issue. People just don't talk about this because they get threatened to not talk about it. There you go.
But, I don't want to stir up a hornet's nest any more than it is, but just if any of those are listening, I've got you on camera. I've got you recorded, and I've got it to where if anything happens to me or mine, that comes out and it gets plastered all over the internet instantly.
Well,
So please just leave me alone. I'm just trying to, right now, just trying to survive. I don't know if your listeners know everything that's happened in the last 6 months.
I seriously doubt they know about any of it.
Just recently, I got out of the hospital. I was in the hospital for 7 weeks with kidney failure. So literally, right now, I'm just trying to survive, doing everything in my power to get through it. Everything's going well so far. In fact, I have my next doctor's appointment on Monday to get blood work again to see how my kidneys and liver are doing. So you could please keep that in your prayers, everybody.
Yeah, everybody that was on the social media groups that are connected to the show are the only ones, I think, or your group that knew about this. And we actually had a lot of people that had you on prayer chains and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm sure that helped. But, that continues to be a need. If anybody out there would be willing to say a few prayers for Kevin, he could sure use them. Also, obviously being in the situation where your liver and kidneys are shut down and you're stuck in the hospital for 6 weeks, it's extremely expensive. If any of y'all can help and throw some money toward Kevin, he really could use the help. Where have you got it set up, Kevin? What's the
I have, it's a paypal.me / James Kevin Medical, all one word. So
James Kevin Medical, all one word, no spaces. Got it.
Yeah, on the PayPal me, and that goes right into an account that goes right to help with my medical bills.
Right on.
Not only are the medical bills expensive, I lost my job because of it, because laying in a hospital bed for 7 weeks, my job wasn't getting done. They had to hire somebody to take my position, which, even though I'm out of the hospital, I'm working again, but I can't work anywhere near as much or at the pace that I used to. But not being able to work for the last 3 months is, put a damper on a lot of stuff. It's been difficult, to say the least.
Yeah.
So if you can help, it's greatly appreciated. And if you can't help financially, please help with prayers. That's just as important.
Yeah.
I can use both.
And don't forget to get on over to his YouTube channel, Kevin Laing, and resubscribe, because a whole pile of you just got unsubscribed by YouTube and you don't even realize it yet.
Yes, please. I tried to go live 2 nights ago. I was able to go live last Sunday night. A week ago Sunday afternoon, was able to go live from out in the field. 3 days later, I went to go live here off my back porch because it was going nuts outside. And I didn't have anywhere near enough subscribers. They told me I could not go live until I have 1,000 subscribers. And it's like I had 1,000 subscribers 2 days ago.
Yeah.
But then I looked at it and I had 500. So I haven't been able to go live since I've been home, but I'm trying. There's a way I can if I use a third party, some third party software, and I'm trying to get that set up so I can go live and do a live stream from out on my back porch again for you guys. So watch that on my channel. Hopefully I can have that set up. Or if I can just get my subscribers back, I'll be able to go live.
Or if you know an alternate platform that he can go live from that isn't a piece of crap like YouTube. A bunch of people want me to do live streams too. And bottom line is, I'm not going to do them on YouTube until there's some other available platform that does live streaming. Ain't happening.
Yeah, I don't like that it's a necessary evil for me right now. but it is a way that I can keep in touch with people. You know, when I was in the hospital, I did some videos, just quick update videos, letting people know that I was still here and hadn't killed me yet.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre how you had enough subscribers to do live streams from the hospital bed.
Yes.
As soon as you get out of the hospital and you do one live stream from the field, all of a sudden you lose all your subscribers. And you can't do it anymore.
Yep. Lost. Yeah, down to 528.
Yeah. From where were you at before that? About 1,500 or more?
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think
they must have been so happy you got out of the hospital, they all decided to unsubscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, like I said at the beginning of the last episode, you can't trust YouTube. They're screwy consistently and constantly.
I don't get it. I don't get people that don't have any content. It's somebody sitting in front of the camera, yakking away, not doing anything but sitting in front of the camera talking. They got millions of subscribers or hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and their channels are garbage. And me, I told you that day, that month, that every time that it notified me that I had a new subscriber on YouTube, I kept track of it. And not one of them ever showed up on my subscriptions. I had over 400 new subscriptions in 1 month. And not one of them it showed maybe 5 or 6 new subscriptions that month. But the notifications that were sent to me showed that somebody else had subscribed.
Yep, Jerry Klein was just telling me he was having the same issue. He'd get new subscribers, and then he'd look, and they'd never actually show up on his channel.
Yep.
They weren't there in his list. Huh. How's that happen?
Yep.
YouTube, you lying scumbags.
I think that they're giving my actual subscriptions to somebody else.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to the very near future when YouTube MySpaces themselves. Don't forget there's other platforms out there. Go there, use them. They're awesome. BitChute, BITCHUTE, Bright Eon, BRIGHTEON, Library.com, LBRY.com. My groups, my show, on all 3 of them. Go sign up there. Well, about anything else you wanted to say, brother?
Not right now. Actually, it feels good to let the people that have been wondering or hoping that it would happen, to let them know that it actually did. I think enough time has went by that it was safe to let people know that, yes, I did see him. And for the people that helped with that, the people that had helped with that trip, a year or more ago, the money that you sent to me was put to good use in doing exactly what it was for. It helped me to get to Montana, and when I got to Montana, I was able to see my friend after all these years.
And Glagg saved me a bunch of gas money, too.
Yes, he did.
You didn't have to drive all the way to Idaho to find him.
Yep.
All right, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad we could be a Sasquatch version of Make-A-Wish here and make sure that...
It was a good time in Montana. I wish that my health would have been doing better. It could have been part of my problem while I was there last summer. Could have been my kidney issue just starting.
That could have been.
Could definitely have been the start of it, or when it started. But
well, we're hoping if the whole country isn't overwhelmed with some flu pandemic,
be in a lot.
Get you up here again.
Well, if there gets to be many more cases close to me, I might run away from it.
Well, so far there's 0 in Montana. Just make sure you're clear before you come up here.
Yep, there's one confirmed case 2 hours away from me.
Wow. Well, the miasma is coming. The miasma is coming.
Yep.
Put on the vac suit. Yep. Well, hopefully we'll have some expeditions going this summer again, and hoping to actually get you up here again this summer and go with us.
I would love to be able to go out with Igor.
We don't know for sure he's going to be here, but we're trying to get him here. It looks like we're pretty much going to be able to get Barry from Res Squatching and Rich Soul from Knox Gigas to show up. We got a couple special guests coming down from Alaska. Rob Roy Menzies is even threatening on being here. you might see him here too.
That'd be cool. That'd be another good one.
Yeah. And plus somebody that's been on Sasquatch Chronicles and on my show says they might be here too. So there'd be another interesting guest.
Nice.
Right on, buddy. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to come
You're
in
welcome.
and give us information, get everybody up to date.
It's
sure
time everybody found out about it.
Right on. I agree. People need to have closure and know that, yeah, as bizarre as it is, this actually worked. We actually pulled this off somehow. He did actually get to see GLAGG again. And there's your happy ending to the story. So, wow, that doesn't happen in real life all that often. It's freaking spectacular when it does.
It's why I want to come back up to the next Montana expedition so bad.
Well, shit, yeah, he probably
Yeah.
tell him you're going to be up here and he'll show up again.
Yep.
All right, brother. Well, again, thanks for being on the show. We're hoping to have you again back here in the future. And meanwhile, take care of yourself. Be careful and keep your health in check there.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. Thank you.
All right. And everybody out there in the listening audience, hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back with more. Don't forget to always pay it forward. Safety first, last, and always. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puck, would you? Do not flip off the mountain giant. And whatever you do, don't hug the Wookiee. Good night.